You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a...
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudrine Jackson. I'm your host for A Spoonful of Comfort, thanking you for the privilege of your time, thanking you for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort, thanking you for tuning in to WHPR. I want to start. I'm talking about a spoonful of comfort because everybody has a spoonful of comfort. And Lord knows that we need comfort during these perilous times. I never would have expected society to be in the shape that it's in now in my old age. That's why I start with a poem. Dear Lord, guide me, help me, show me the way. Lord, we humbly ask for the comfort of your presence and the confidence to trust in you, even when the outcome is uncertain. In fact, that's when we really need to trust in you, when the outcome is uncertain. Lord, please calm my mind, bring peace to my heart, strengthen my spirit to carry on, help me to be faithful to your guidance. Thank you for your many, many blessings. Thank you for keeping me safe in your presence and enfolded in your love. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. So I like to start with a poem. I like to start with a prayer because prayer changes things. You've heard that saying a lot. But, you know, I do all of this because of the Purvis Jackson Foundation. Purvis Jackson Jr., who is handicapped by autism. I've told you about him before. He's 47. He still can't read, write, talk, or live independently. But Purvis Jr. Is kind of my fuel for doing these things. So the Purvis Foundation was Purvis Sr.'s brainchild. And he did not live to see the fulfillment of the foundation getting started. So I thank all the people who helped me with the Purvis Foundation. I could not help handicapped children if it weren't for people, generous people that help. They donate to the Purvis Foundation. You can donate through Facebook Pay. You can send a donation to the post office box, and I am so thankful to Amazon. Amazon gave the Purvis Foundation a big donation recently. The foundation was on life support until Amazon came along and helped us. So to all the people that have donated to the Purvis Foundation, we wrote you a poem. If you made a donation to the Purvis Foundation, whether it was large or small, we pray that God's love comes down to you from above, because you are the best people of all. If you made a donation to the Purvis Foundation, you're helping handicapped children in need. So you can be proud of yourself because you've already done a good deed. A donation to the foundation will help the situation. Because we can't do everything doesn't mean we can't do something. So a donation to the foundation will help the situation. We will do what we can do, and handicapped children can get help from me and you. And if you want to make a donation to the Purvis Foundation, we greatly appreciate you. You can find us at our P.O. Box 04422. P.O. Box 04422, Detroit, Michigan 48204. So the Purvis Foundation, both of the Purvises, are the fuel that keeps me coming back week after week to talk to you. So I am very honored and blessed to have a guest today. You know, because of the pandemic, I haven't had any guests during the pandemic. I am honored to have a guest today, Michael Freeman. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on A Spoonful of Comfort.
And thank you for having me.
So, tell us a little something about yourself. Are you Detroit born and raised?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I am.
All right.
From Detroit, and I left some years ago, and I stayed in Los Angeles for a while, and Las Vegas, and got involved with pretty much some of the movie industry, did some extra stuff, and had the opportunity to meet Bill Cosby, a lot of celebrities, Jim Brown, did some extra work and some music, and so it was a real, very, you might say, great experience.
All right.
You know.
You have some great experiences. I was an extra in a movie, the Ron LaFleur story, and
I saw that.
Oh, did you? Okay. And that was the first movie that I watched the background to see myself.
Oh, yeah.
and people that I knew that were in it. So is that what you did when you were an extra? Were you watching the background to see?
Well, a lot of times, sometimes the director would ask would actually separate me from the other extras and ask me my opinion on
All right.
because I also write.
All right.
And so they would ask me what would I do with a scene. So every now and then I said, we change that scene because that doesn't fit or it wouldn't make sense.
All right.
And so that was with Paramount.
The fact that they came to you meant they saw something in you.
Yes, they saw it. That was a young, upstart, aggressive
Yes.
type of a kid from Detroit. See?
So you Detroit Public Schools?
Yes.
I was a Detroit Public School teacher.
Oh, wow.
So I get kind of insulted when I hear negative remarks about Detroit Public Schools, but I'm proud of you for being an example
Yes.
of what Detroit Public Schools can produce.
Yes.
Trying to produce upstanding citizens. Now, were you interested in music when you were a child?
Well, yes, I was. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, I was, the kids in the classroom would laugh because I was into Beethoven, Bach, Chopin,
Right,
Tchaikovsky.
right.
I used to love that, and that the suite, the Nutcracker suite, was every Christmas they would do that, and
Right.
and the teacher would say, "Michael, what is that?" And I would know it, and the other kids would laugh because I would
Yeah.
emulate the,
I say you got the music in you.
Right,
So
so-
you've had it in you for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, I am blessed to be able to be here under the tutelage of R.J. Watkins. So tell me about your meeting with R.J. Watkins.
Well, actually, I really like and respect him.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
I've been seeing him for years at many different events.
Yes, he has been quite a dynamic force in the city.
And he's always, every time he sees me, he said, "You got to come to my studio." And it's been more than 10 years. When I'll bump into him, he said, I'm coming, but I never actually made it until it was a woman. We came from a woman.
Did you hear that?
It
Did
took
you
a
hear
woman
that, RJ?
to bring me, to get me in through the door. But I had great feelings for Mr. Watkins.
Right.
And I was always intending on coming.
Right.
But I said, when I come, I have to have something. But it took the power of a woman
Well,
to bring me in.
I'm so in awe of what he has accomplished down through the years because people that watch the show before know that my husband was Purvis Jackson, the bass singer of the Spinners. So
You're talking about the 45. Is that what you're talking about?
That's
Yeah?
what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
I remember that.
Oh, and you sounded great. Purvis is smiling down at you.
Okay.
So I never had any interactions with Mr. Watkins because this wasn't my area. This was
Right.
my husband's area.
I understand.
So thanks to RJ, I can share my poetry and share some of the experiences And I know Purvis is smiling down because this is what he was always pushing me to do.
Right.
And I wasn't doing.
Okay.
Until after he passed away. He said, wife, you got to quit writing poems and putting them in a drawer. He said, you've got to let people hear them.
Right.
And I was looking for somebody to read my poems. He said, you got to read them yourself. So he was my mentor.
Right.
So who was your mentor?
It was probably God.
Oh.
But, yeah, but I remember the one poem that I wrote, and I was inspired by Rosa Parks.
Yes.
And I wrote a poem, then I turned it into a song. And they played it all over the country.
All
but
right.
But I was in Los Angeles.
Yes.
They aired over the radio. They played it in the South, in Montgomery, where she is from, but they wouldn't play it in Detroit. But what inspired me about the song was that atrocity that happened to her years ago with the people breaking in her house, and 5 minutes later I came up with the song, but it was a poem. Then somewhere music came to, I put music to it about years later.
That's Purvis's theory.
Mm-hmm.
My poems that I wrote, he says these can be songs.
Yeah.
These are lyrics.
Yes.
And he put 2 of my poems to music just to prove to me that,
Right.
that they could be
Well,
music.
the poem started off like this, but I'll give you about 3 seconds or
Yes.
4 seconds of it. But I'm gonna sing it.
Right.
It started off like like a rose in a park, like a lark in a tree, like a spark that started a fire. This lady with higher desire, Rosa Parks. You see, she means a lot to us. You better trust she took a seat on the bus. Many had tried, but were also denied. It's more to it, but it
But
started
that's
off
beautiful.
as a poem.
And you wrote that
Yeah, right. I
at a
wrote
young
that.
age?
I wrote that, and when I was young, those words stuck in my head.
Right.
And I didn't sing it and write it till I was in my 30s, but I always kept the words.
And that's what it inspires me to write sometimes. If I can't get it out of my head, I'll say, let me go on and write this. So I was going to ask you, have you ever written any music? So have you written anything since then?
Well, I did a thing here for the city of Detroit. I got the CD there, but I did it 6 years ago.
Ah.
And I talked to the guy on Fox 2, his name, Charlie Langton.
Yes.
I sung it on his
Yes,
show.
yes.
When he was on the road.
Okay.
And he liked it. And it was called Hey Detroit. But I did that. What inspired me when I got back to Detroit, I felt the city was in degradation, torn, broke buildings that were. So out of this pain of what I saw, I was inspired to write that song.
And those of us who are sensitive to things, and that's one of the things that Purvis preached to me. And if you knew Purvis, you'd never think he had that kind of sensitivity, but he did. And he was even sensitive to the fact that I was so shy and bashful, which is hard for people to believe now. Mm-hmm. But Purvis pulled things out of me. He kept saying, you've got to say more. If we were at an event or a meeting and people were talking and I'd never say anything, and when we get home, I'd say, well, I'd add my points in. He said, well, why didn't you say that at the meeting? I said, why didn't you say that then? He said, you make some good points. So then we'd be with the group, and he'd say, well, he called me wife. Well, my wife, what do you think about that? And he pulled out of me.
He inspired you.
Yes. He was truly my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So were there any performers? You mentioned some of the old-time performers that you liked.
Well, I could say that when I was coming up as a teen, I was around quite a few because Mahalia Jackson was my brother's godmother in Chicago. We were staying out there at the time.
Right.
And later on in life, I got close to David Ruffin. He was pretty much a mentor. I would see him on Dexter, Linwood.
Yes.
He would break out, and he was always ready to perform and sing. And Paul Williams and Eddie, and it just so happens that Milton Jenkins, who who were the one responsible for the Prime and the Primettes. That would be the Temptations and Supremes.
Right.
He was their manager before they got with Motown.
Right.
And he was also my manager. So, and he was a strict, hardcore individual, Mr. Milton Jenkins. They don't talk about him too much, but I liked him, and I actually looked up to him as a result of his determination to help the youth in the neighborhood. And he had a thing called Operation Soul. Yeah.
So he helped you to develop.
Yeah, he was a strict.
And what about Ron? Is it Bennington?
Ron Brewington.
Brewington.
Well, in Los Angeles, he has a television show called The Actor's Choice. It comes
Okay.
on every Monday. And he interviews stars, actors of all walks of life. And when they had the star for Marvin Gaye in Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard, I had the opportunity to sing the national anthem for the star. This is in 2003.
Right.
And Mary Wells was there. There was a lot of people there. And Motown people were there. And I sang it. And I mean, they really liked it. They were looking for people to sing it.
Right.
And no one could do the rendition. They said it's better than myself.
All right.
I didn't say it. The crowd
said, right,
said it. Over
right.
1,500 people said,
Right.
let him do it. So I really appreciate that. I was,
Well, I'm glad that you are still out here displaying your talent and sharing your talent, because that was Purvis's theory. Wife, you didn't get talent to not use it. If God gives you talent, you're supposed to use it. Well, I didn't look at writing as a talent. I just looked at it as kind of therapy. It gets things out of you.
Yeah.
But that's how, when you and I were first talking, we were talking about writing. And we were talking about one of my favorite Motown lyrics. You know, the Spinners with Motown, they didn't make big money at Motown. They had hits at Motown.
Right.
But one of my all-time favorite lyrics from Motown is written by Paul Reiser. What becomes of the brokenhearted?
Great man, Paul.
And that's how you connected with me when you mentioned that. So I said there are a lot of wonderful words at Motown. There are a lot of wonderful writers. We don't hear enough about the writers because we hear about the singers.
Yes.
But can you share a little bit of what becomes of the brokenhearted so people can see what real writing is?
Oh, okay, I'll do my best. It's been a while since I last sang this song.
Okay.
And I actually bought a cheat sheet just in
All
case
right,
I
all
get
right.
off course and someone, you don't have anyone
Well,
around
you are
here
prepared.
with
Thank
the,
you.
Yeah, there's no hook or anything.
Right.
You're like in the hook. You don't have the hook here, do you? Just in case
I wouldn't use it on you.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll do this. I'll try to freestyle it. Excuse me, everybody. As I walk this land of broken dreams, I have visions of many things. But happiness is just an illusion filled with sadness and confusion. What becomes of a broken hearted who had love that's now departed? I know I got to find some kind of peace of mind, baby. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The fruits of love are wait a minute, I know. Okay.
Go all around.
Oh yeah, the fruits of love grow all around, but I keep on just tumbling down. Every day hearts get a little stronger. I can't take this pain much longer. I walk the shadows searching for light, holding cold and
No comfort inside.
no comfort inside. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
I sung
hoping
that.
and praying for someone to care, always moving but going nowhere. I'm not gonna hurt your ears by trying to sing
Oh,
it.
no, help me, sister, help
But I
me.
know all the words to that song
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's, and another song that I know all the words to that was one of my favorites is, and I'm not gonna try to sing it. Smokey's Tracks of My Tears. People say I'm the life of the party.
Oh, yeah.
Because I tell a joke or two. Although I might be laughing loud and hearty, deep inside I'm blue. So take a good look at my face.
Yeah.
You'll see my smile looks out of place.
Yeah.
If you look closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my tears.
Baby, 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 take a good look at my face. You see my smiles looks out of place. Take a little closer, easy. The tracks of my tears, baby, 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 baby. That was I don't.
Beautiful. You know, Motown was a phenomenon. We don't know if it can ever be repeated again. But back in the 50s, there were singers,
Yeah.
they tell me, standing on every street corner, rehearse
Oh.
the spinners on under the street light.
That
was their
that's how we got
area.
it. Drinking
The-
wine.
yes.
I shouldn't say
yes.
that. Wow, I was, you know.
And
Yeah.
who knows if that couldn't have been what inspired Berry Gordy
Right.
to start Motown,
Exactly.
because there were so many, there was so much talent.
Yeah.
And you see, he had no problem. And we have nothing like that now. He had no problem getting talent to show up. And I'm thankful for Motown. Like I said, the Spinners didn't have their biggest hits with Motown, but Motown was the foundation.
Right.
It was what made Purvis into a gentleman.
Right.
Because artist development said, we'll take these talented, rough around the edges singers and performers and educate them so that they can perform anywhere. Motown taught their artists how to act off stage, not
Right.
just on stage.
Yes.
So that was something I greatly appreciate.
Oh yes, as well. I from watching them at the time, I was coming to Ed Sullivan shows, and you
Yes,
know,
yes.
I said, "Wow, that's David, that's Paul, that's
Yes,
Eddie, the
yes, you
Temptations,
do, yes.
you know, Melvin." And so you would see that, and then
Right.
Marvin, he'd get on there, "Darling, please stay, don't go away," and then "Gave me your love, little girl, when you get me." That one, I love that song by Marvin.
There were some, honest to goodness, really great lyrics from
Yeah.
Motown. What about, I got
Ain't-
sunshine on
Oh.
a cloudy
Oh,
day
oh,
when
yeah.
it's cold outside. I
David.
got the month of May.
Yeah.
I guess you say, what can make me feel this way?
From the
is
heart.
my girl.
Yeah, from the heart.
So we don't get those kind of lyrics now.
No, Ain't That Peculiar by Paul Reiser too.
Oh.
Yeah,
can
Paul.
you do a little bit of that?
I'll try. Paul, hey. No, Paul not rhyme with the hook or nothing here. I'm gonna try to see what I can do. Okay. I know you don't have, the show is almost over here pretty much. But, honey, you do me wrong and still I'm crazy about you. Do. Stay away too long and I can't do without you. Every chance you get, you seem to hurt me more and more. But each hurt makes my love stronger than before. You know flowers grow from rain, but how can love grow through pain? Pain.
Beautiful.
Ain't that peculiar?
And to Paul Reiser, you wrote some lyrics, not only Paul, all of the Motown writers. And I talk about the Motown writers a lot during Black History Month, because you know the artist, but you don't know who wrote
Right.
who wrote the songs. So
Yes.
tell me, before you even did a lot of singing, or were you singing back then? You said you used to work for Louis the Hatter.
Oh, yeah. I even did some shows back then. And because I used to like Nat King Cole too.
Yes, yes.
And I remember as a kid coming up, and I used to like Frank, Nat. So I would just play around with stuff like, there was a boy,
right.
a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea. Oh, and then also they was
A
man,
blast from the past.
Yeah,
Taking
you know.
me back. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much. And you know, Marvin, and I didn't know this, used to love Frank Sinatra and Nat. And so I kind of, growing up, I used to sing
A
those
lot
songs.
of those people inspired a lot of the Motown artists.
Yeah.
Because that was real singing back then.
Right.
Now, something else I wanted to ask you about. You were part of a TV show in Vegas?
No, I was not a part of it, but every so often I'd come on the show. But there was a series that I was a part of called The Watcher. It was on UPN.
Okay.
And Home Improvement had better ratings and knocked us off the air, but it was a science fiction, and it was a good show. We all, as a matter of fact, the cast, when they canceled us, we all cried and we felt bad.
Yes.
Because we really became like a family. So when you're doing something with a group of people every week, and each week it was like sort of like the Twilight Zone, but
Yes.
an updated version of it.
Yes. So you've lived in Detroit. You lived in California. Have you lived anywhere else?
Vegas.
Vegas. I just said Vegas. So, are you back in Detroit now?
Yes. Well, I'm here now. For one while, when this pandemic came, because I did some serious quarantine. I mean,
Yes.
I was pretty much like a recluse. I didn't come out.
I didn't either.
I was, people
Yes.
wanted to come by. Nope. You want to invite me to places? Nope. I just stayed in. I was, grew a
Safe.
beard.
Better to be safe than sorry. That was a
Yeah.
saying when I grew up in the 40s before you came along.
Mm-hmm.
But when did you decide to sing? Like Purvis said, he was when he was in middle school or high school, they laughed at his voice because they called him Froggy.
Okay.
Because he had this low voice. And he said, the choir teacher said, I need a bass singer in the choir, so I want you to join the choir. And that's what started him.
Well, I tell you what started me to sing. What happened was my grandparents were pastors. I'm like a PK kid too.
Okay.
But at the same time, I didn't care for a lot of gospel songs. Certain ones I did. But what got me to singing, I really loved the song when I was growing up. The guy that used to sing, he took 100 pounds of clay. And I was only 9.
And he said,
Yeah,
hey,
I love
listen.
that song.
Yes.
That song gave me chill bumps. But because of the meaning.
Music is such a therapeutic solution. That's why the rapping and a lot of the negative lyrics I didn't like.
Right.
Because music does stick in your head.
Yeah.
Our time is up.
It's over.
You have been such a great guest, and I so greatly appreciate it. So maybe you'll come back one day. But thank you to our listening audience. I hope that you got a little comfort or music for your ears today. And I thank Michael Freeman, my guest, and tune in next week for a Spoonful of Comfort.
Thank you for having me. Audience and the Queen. She got me in here.
When I was 7